You're watching the NWR Investor Conference. It is November 2020. We have Atomos with us today. Atomos is a global software and hardware tech company that creates, develops, and commercializes groundbreaking products for the rapidly growing content creation market. The business was founded in 2010 when it created the world's first video monitor recorder. Now Atomos works alongside an ever-expanding ecosystem of key tech providers that includes Apple, Adobe, Sony, Canon, JVC Kenwood, Nikon, FUJIFILM, and Panasonic. The company has been part of the rapid democratization and expansion of high quality and accessible video content creation. We have three reps from Atomos on the line today. We have Jeremy Young, who is the co-founder of Atomos and also its CEO and executive director. He has more than 20 years of experience in computer and imaging technology, including developing electronic products in the Japanese video technology industry. We also have Chris Tate with us today, who has more than 25 years of experience advising local and multinational companies in both the private and public sectors. He's the co-founder and managing director of Melbourne-based independent advisory firm, Henslow. Atomos CFO will also be joining us today, who is James Cody, the principal of the Henslow firm too. Previously, he was CFO of Australian publicly listed company, Fantastic. Over to you guys. I think we'll kick off with Chris today.
Thanks, Laura, and morning, everybody. It's very exciting to be here this morning. There's an ASX announcement that's gone out ahead of this conference, just giving everyone a bit of an update on our trading, which we'll come on to, and the news is very positive. So it's always wonderful to be presenting in circumstances like these. Last time we did this was around about 3 months ago, when it was quite different circumstances in terms of we could get together, and obviously we're able to start getting together increasingly now. But when this conference was set up, that wasn't envisaged. So today you don't have the benefit of seeing us on Atomos devices. We apologize for that, but we encourage you to go back if you haven't seen it and see the presentation for 3 months ago, where you will see the difference in the quality of the presentation by something like this being on an Atomos device. And you can do that by going onto the NWR website. So less of a plug about our products, but let's flick on through the presentation, James, if we can, and come up to the next slide. We might just skip over that one, which is just introducing the three of us, which Laura has already done so well. So just a little bit of a summary really here on how things have been going. Obviously, this calendar year has been a tough year for everyone. It was a tough year for Atomos, but we're now in October, and we are some 200% up compared to the average monthly run rate for the first 6 months of this calendar year, the last half of the last financial year. We have consistently been updating the market on that metric. So we did about 12 million of sales in the last 6 months of the last financial year, so circa 2 million a month. And we've been using that as our benchmark for indicating our recovery against what we really see as the sort of post, COVID impact on the Atomos business. And effectively, we are now in October. And we always signaled that we would get back to what we believed, these pre-COVID levels, but we didn't expect that to happen until early next calendar year. And we also expected it to be necessary for us to have some of the streaming products in the lineup, which we've talked about previously, to help us get there. Well, we've been really sort of blown away effectively by the fact that we've got there 3 months earlier. We have no new products in those sales. This is just the existing product range. The new products are coming, but we're at levels that were the levels that we saw prior to COVID hitting us at the start of this calendar year, already in October. So we're ahead of, if you look at the first 6 months of the last financial year, we did 32 million of sales. Take the average of that, it's about 5.4. We've exceeded that for October, which is a fantastic outcome. When we look at that, it's sort of it's a case of, well, what's driving that? And James will talk a little bit about that in a moment. But effectively, what we saw with the impact on our business at the start of the year, of the start of the calendar year, really was, I think, primarily a destocking of the channel. It was nervousness in the market. It was resellers, distributors destocking the channel. And that was probably the primary impact. The second sort of impact was effectively, I don't think the market, the market were nervous. We were all nervous, I think, the first lockdown, and became more confident the second lockdown. So the market has adjusted. They've started to understand that actually Atomos products are the perfect product in a COVID environment. So that has encouraged the sort of end user to use our products more and more, particularly around pro video and social. We're not talking about entertainment here, and Jeremy will expand on that in a minute. And then really the third thing is that the raw ecosystem, which we've been investing in over such a period of time, we're really beginning to get the benefits of that. So we're delighted. James, I might just get you to expand a little bit on more of those financials for everybody, if you could.
Sure, thanks, Chris. Yes, as we've sort of mentioned elsewhere, October for us sort of represents one of the strongest months the company's ever experienced in a month where it didn't launch new products. So really pleasing. And the other aspect I think is key to that is that it's strong across the board. So we're not having any sort of pockets of where one region is doing better than another, or better than the sort of historic run rate. So we're broadly in line and on that sort of regional mix with where we've been historically, and also fair to say across our product mix as well. So great result from a revenue perspective. Costs, they're in line with the guidance that we've given previously. So we continue to manage the cost base to those levels. And I think the other aspect that we're very happy with is that cash remains strong. I mean, it's probably fair to say that we haven't dipped into any of the funds that we raised in May or June. It's obviously great that we've got those there. And as we said at the time, that wasn't really required to sort of maintain the business. It was really to help us make sure that we launch the new products that we have planned appropriately. So, great result there from a cash perspective as well. And those new products are coming in the next few months, as Chris just mentioned.
Thanks, James. So the key takeaway, of course, is base business in a very good position, costs tightly controlled, sales of core products higher than they've ever been. We're only 1 month in on this journey. Obviously, we're cautious about what's going to happen with the lockdowns in the Northern Hemisphere and so on, but it seems that our products are actually pretty COVID resilient. And of course, we always expected to be launching some new products to add to all of this. And there's a lot of work that's gone on behind the scenes as well to invest in that, which Jeremy will now come on to and talk through. So less of the numbers, financial, operational people, now onto the exciting stuff, the things that really drive this business. Jeremy?
Thanks, Chris. James, just bring that one up for me. Next slide. Hi, everyone. Great to be coming to you with some really good stability in the business. I think is probably the most encouraging thing. And it's been a very interesting journey watching what has happened. So we obviously predicted a doomsday scenario, looking at we could survive off 1 million revenue a month. Chris, remember when we were doing the COVID, what does COVID mean? We never got that low, as you saw. In fact, you would have said, even though the average was around 2 million, we never really kind of got in trouble under a 2.5 type of level. The beginning of the year was a bit slower than normal. So if you look at it, we probably didn't go under a 2.5 to 3 million run rate, which is really, impressive considering everyone didn't know what was going on. And what we've seen since then is our Shinobi product has done very well in the social range. It's maintained itself, if not increased slightly, which has really been a nice, kind of steady million revenue type of level coming in from that product or thereabouts, which has been nice in the tough times when people were looking for sub $500 products. But price was really driving things. Ninja did well at 495. It's now back to 595 and higher margin. So that's really encouraging to see. And the top end of social are definitely buying Ninja 5s still. And that's being driven by the photo camera releases, the notable ones being Sony, Panasonic, doing very well in the market. Nikon's just released their next 2. We've done 11 in the last 6 months over HDMI, which is very, very unique. We invented it with Nikon, and we've now rolled it out to over 12 cameras in HDMI, and we're already on about 12 cameras in SDI. So, you know, we're in the mid-20s of cameras we're supporting. They're getting more and more every day. And that's driving, you know, another 100 units, another 200 units, which, you know, really has been adding up. And Ninjas are killing it in the market right now, which is really positive to see. Shogun 7, which is switching, is being picked up by all of the lower cost requirements of the second and third tier Netflix type of productions, and people trying to go after those. I mean, how many do we have now? We've got, well, every time you turn the TV on, there's something new. There's Binge now, and there's, you know, obviously Stan still trying to pick up their game, and all the TV stations are making their own dramas, but then they need to make more and more of it, which means the cost of production needs to go down. And that is driving, you know, the type of products that we've been offering, an all-in-one solution that gives you really top-end cinema quality, but at an affordable price with a great screen. So it's coming together quite well. It's held up much better than we imagined. Pro video, very strong for us because of those RAWs and because of 4K HDR. You know, we're all getting new TVs now, and we've got to watch that equipment. We've been delivering that for the last 4 to 5 years. So we're very familiar with those customer sets, and we're known for that type of production. So if we just move on to the entertainment market, so Shogun's going up a bit. Sumo's definitely being used on the lower end entertainment production. So that's a very good sign. And last month we seeded the long-awaited Neon into some very key customers. And the feedback has been, that's the best screen I've ever seen, which is very encouraging. So we're shipping our first 100 units of each of our products, 17 and 24 inch this month. So it's coming out in the next week or 2, and will be in customers' hands. And then we're rolling out the rest of the productions over the next 2 to 3 months, as we also collect feedback, because it's very software upgradable, just like all of our products. So we'll be adding and adjusting things as we get, you know, high level feedback from the directors and from the cameraman on set. So that's an encouraging start. And we're also using post-production next to computers for that, so that they can match what they saw on set. So there's a good world of post-production that we can sell these monitors as computer monitors, but a better quality for cinema and high quality video production in 4K HDR. So all of that is paying dividends. Our partners are very buoyant about the RAW ecosystem. We're getting updates from Adobe, from Apple, from Avid, from all the top makers, as well as Apple pushing the SDK into as many partners as they can on as many platforms as they can. So they're pushing it into Windows platforms, Linux platforms, as well as Mac. So we see a very big future for ProRes RAW, and we see a very big future for the screen and HDR enhancements, as well as recording that we've always given to the market. But probably the most exciting thing is that with all of that, we're back to pre-COVID levels, which the team is extremely, you know, happy about, and they've worked very hard and, you know, taken pay cuts and things like that. So it's great to see us emerging in a really strong way. But a lot of the effort has really gone into nailing the networking, streaming world of local, in your house, on a set, at high quality, 4K 60 to any TV from a local, really high quality camera source, whether it be a PlayStation or a DSLR camera. And in doing that, we can also go to the web over Ethernet, Wi-Fi, and USB-C. So it's an exciting time to be talking. We'll be releasing this product in Q2. It's not very far away. The production is already underway. We're very happy with the way it's performing. And we've already got it seeded with some major establishments, including one of our key partners who's trying to take on the gaming world in Melbourne, a company called Fortress. And we're really just in the trenches with them, seeing how we can add value to their gaming workflows, and we're getting a lot of good results from that. So it's an extremely interesting time to turn on all the capabilities of the chip that we developed for 5 years. We can now do that. We're now in the Wi-Fi space, as well as the Ethernet space, networking around a building, chucking video around it and being able to see it on the other side and in really high quality. So we're very confident that that streaming solution will be world leading. And we're very much looking forward to getting it out into the market on top of the good results of the RAW and the 4K ecosystems that we're already majorly a part of. Is there anything else you want me to cover off, Chris?
No, all good. Let's flick through some of the other slides. That's a great summary. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just shoot through some of these, James, I think. So I think for anyone who hasn't seen it, this is the product range. James, maybe just go back to that one. I think we've sort of covered off most of the Prezzo in one slide and we might jump onto Q&A. But let's just, for everyone who's not familiar with the product range, you can see on the screen there sort of some of the kind of products that we make. So it's sort of like a computer effectively that sits on top of an image capture device, such as a camera, an iPhone, anything that captures an image. And we effectively are the computer that sits on top of that. And so we have to have the software, we have the hardware, and this is produced at the highest level. But to go and put all of that together, you've got to create a lot of very strong intellectual property, like your own operating system and so on. So we're really just at the start of the Atomos journey, and we've been in this pro video world, which is the heartland when we started 10 years ago, and we're now going into social, which is of course absolutely booming. And that kind of leads into the streaming and gaming, and then entertainment, which, as Jeremy said, we really, we're getting some of the benefits of, but we've only really just started to touch the surface with the fact that the Neon will be coming to market in the next sort of month or so. So let's shoot through a couple more slides, James, if we could. James, there we go. Thank you. All right, let's come on to the next one. So here we're just really talking about the fact that Atomos is moving increasingly into this streaming and cloud storage world. We started off, if you can imagine, 10 years ago, none of this existed, but as we build all the technology to have the highest image capture and production capability, we're now, as internet speeds become faster, as 5G opens up, we are able to then transform into that world as well. And as a matter of fact, having become executive chairman and become even more involved in Atomos, the biggest challenge we probably face as a company is just the amount of opportunity we have and making sure we pick the right ones. I've never seen a company, frankly, which has as much opportunity as Atomos, and it's about making sure we build the structure to allow us to capture all of the opportunity.
And Chris, I think there's a good, this slide's a good one, because if you look from left to right, you've got all the, and this is what, it's been the different approach that Atomos has taken, and deliberately from the beginning. Going head to head with large companies in tech always causes problems when Canon turn their cannons on you, so to speak. So sitting in the middle and trying to outrun them like a little mouse with some elephants around you has kind of been our approach, but we become friends with them first. So we're also very honest with them that we're working with everybody. So it's up to you if you want to work with us. We're not going to be exclusive to you, at least not for forever. And so we do launches with those guys. So we've got our, marketing associated with theirs. And then in the middle, we just partner with all the accessories and discs and screen partners and Dolby Vision to make sure it gets to the TV properly, and HDMI to make sure that we're consistent with consumer standards. And we just have, you should see our contract cabinet. It's obviously all digital now, but it's pretty big. We've got thousands and thousands and thousands of agreements where we share information early, and then you go into Microsoft and Apple and these larger, and Adobe, and then it gets really secret, right, at that level. Not that everyone else isn't, but it's even more strict. But we have the ability to kind of hook into those large organizations, small organizations. So I think that's, in streaming, you can probably see, you would imagine partners like Telstra, AT&T coming into those, or at least hooking into their ecosystems in many ways. So Chris, I think those partnership capabilities are pretty important for the investors to understand.
Really important because of you can't just go and recreate those. When people talk about what's the IP, I mean, obviously Atomos has a lot of IP, but one of the crucial things is to go and become the trusted partner of Apple, of Sony, of Canon, of Nikon, and so on, and all the others that we are the trusted partners of is doesn't happen overnight. You know, for Canon to say, here is our secret source so that you can connect us into ProRes RAW, and then Apple to say, well, we don't trust anyone else in the world to go and connect into those camera companies, so we're going to allow you to have ProRes RAW on the monitor recorder. Only you, Atomos, is obviously a pretty special place to occupy. And that's why we are now, you know, we've implemented these RAWs on, I think it's 22 cameras, Jeremy, now.
Yeah, that's right.
That's not a position that anyone else can come in and just recreate with those relationships. And it's not just a relationship, it's the deep technological understanding, it's the capability to talk at the highest level with those kind of companies and connect them up. And we sit uniquely in the middle of all of that.
And one of the things that you've just implemented, Chris, is a bit more resources behind it. Whereas previously, you know, I was taking a lot of those relationships to make sure they were right. But involving the team, handing some of them over means we've now got even more activity on the partner front. So that's one of the things you'll see is our resources are being applied probably in more higher priority areas that maybe we didn't put enough resources before, Chris, to expand it fast enough. And that's been a good thing to see. You're seeing the benefits of that now, I think.
I think that's absolutely right. And James, we might, because I think there's a few questions, so we might skip to the very last slide if we can, which is the management team, because it's a very good segue. We haven't actually updated this in terms of the senior management team, but there's 2 new people on that senior management team there. Everything else is right, apart from, I think, that share price, which is probably no longer 63 cents. I think it's gone up a little. But the senior management team also now has Mark Harland, who's joined as our Chief Operating Officer. He only joined on Monday, so that's why he's not on here yet, but he is the Chief Marketing Officer for Holden, Australia. He's worked all over the world, Singapore, Germany, Canadian by birth, New York for General Motors, and most recently was working with a startup for electrical vehicles, and we've been lucky enough to secure him. And then Rodney Block is joined as our Global Business Development Director. Rodney was in charge of GoPro's business across Southeast Asia and brings a lot of experience in terms of opening up new markets and capability around not just imaging, but also he's got a deep experience in gaming as well, having worked in that industry prior to GoPro. So we're expanding the team, the capability on the commercial side, and really making sure that, you know, we go and make the most of all this IP and technology that we've got in the shed effectively. And we're just at the start, really, in terms of, you know, it's wonderful to be back at those pre-COVID levels. It's only 1 month in, we're cautious, but in the, you know, this isn't about the next three to 4 months. This is really about the next years ahead. And the opportunity is very, very significant, we believe. So with no further ado, unless Jeremy or James, you wanted to add anything, we might hand back for some Q&A.
I just might add on Rod and Mark, having that hometown kind of gun team here in Melbourne. We've had a lot of our key members, as you can see, are overseas in the past. And strengthening the team around them here and giving them more support, and also letting us get on with a lot more, you know, longer range planning here with the core team is something that we're all really enjoying. And with Rod and Mark coming on board, they're used to large organisations, public companies. It's just a good marriage, I think, and helps us go into that gaming and streaming market, which is very lucrative at the moment. Oh, I just want to add one thing. We released a little Connect. You can look at our website. It's a HDMI to streaming. It's not. It's the best quality of those that we could make, and it's $79, and we've sold the first 3 productions in a month. James, do you just want to comment on that one? Because I think that shows the power of the brand with the streaming attached to it, and it's not even a big play yet, but it's gone very well.
Yeah, I think we sold 12,000 units or something across a little bit in September and then into October as well. And
that's a lot of volume. I mean, it's only $79 product, but it's a lot of awareness, and it's being sold in all the right places right now.
At about a 60% plus margin, James?
Correct. Yes.
Very, very strong margin, more than that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, guys. So bolstering your product suite, bolstering your team, as you just pointed out, Jeremy. You also have plenty of cash on hand, as one of our commenters has pointed out.
Mm-hmm.
What is that cash earmarked for?
I might pick this one up if I may. So as James alluded to earlier on, we raised that capital back in May because we highlighted that we wanted to invest in new products, and that new products, you have to invest in the working capital and so on. We said we didn't need it for the core business, and that's the case. We haven't touched any of that cash at this stage because we haven't had to build much in the way of the working capital. And as a matter of fact, the working capital that we have had to invest in, of which there is a little, we've just actually invested out of our core resources. So we will use that cash for investing in new products effectively, and growing organically. Did we raise a bit more than we absolutely needed to? Probably, but we didn't all quite know what the situation was back in May, and we didn't expect to be back quite as quickly to pre-COVID levels as it has turned out to be the case. So it's a very good position to be in.
Yeah. So you mentioned
and just to add,
yeah. No, go ahead.
Just to add to that, Chris, the ability to spin different screen sizes of this base Ninja that I've got here, right, to bigger screens and things like that is obviously the next, couple of years of endeavor to roll out, and that takes a bit of investment. It's a couple of $100,000 when you get, a really nice big screen kind of casing done, and we're doing the top level stuff. So it's not cheap, but then you release the product and, it's a 10 million windfall. So it's definitely worth the ROI, but it's worth noting that there's quite a few products we can deliver, so that use of that capital will be definitely in line with, growth of the business.
Perhaps Jeremy or Chris, can you guys expand on the potential market opportunities with the streaming product in terms of dollars? Maybe, for example, what's the opportunity with gaming, and then also outside of gaming?
Good. Can I take that in relation to Elgato there, Chris? Yeah. So for all the savvy analysts out there and anyone else who wants to take a look, there's an IPO of the main player in video capture to a computer, which is a company called Elgato. They also make, which is ELGATO, and they actually are going public on the NASDAQ. It looks like they're about, I can't remember the exact numbers, but they're about 100 million turnover globally, maybe more. I sent you that prospectus, Chris, a little while ago. Yeah. And so if you want to check out that one, you'll see the gaming market. You'll see how much money they're making. You'll see the margins they're making. And we are at least 3 to 4 times the capability. We're a separate device. We don't need a computer. We replace the computer. And they've got a bunch of good ideas on how to switch between gaming kind of setups, so we can add that to our products. There's a lot of good stuff that we can add a lot of value to with the capability we've got for cinema and pro video. So that it's a really exciting time. But so that's $100 million turnover. They do discs and other things as well. Their recording, we would think, is probably around 50 mil at the moment, but it's growing quickly. So that's why they're IPOing now. So we can get in there and be a much better monitor recorder. Plus, if you think about where gaming products are delivered, they're delivered at EB Games, are delivered at JB Hi-Fi, like in our world, and they also sell $3,000 cameras that can use a Ninja. And we haven't cracked that part of it yet, but we're working very hard on getting into those type of marketplaces.
And I'll just add to that, we don't underestimate how challenging and difficult it is to go into new marketplaces. So we're going in with a very sort of carefully thought through plan as we do these things. And if we just
with Rod leading it, right? Yeah,
correct. And if we just get a fraction of the opportunity, it will be a significant. And I think the way to think of Atomos as well is let's not take our eye off the main, the core, what we call the core pro video and entertainment, which has got to come back fully, but pro video and social. That's really strong. That core business is going, very well, is growing strongly. This is upside over and above that.
Well, thank you so much. We might leave it there for today. Chris, James, and Jeremy, thank you for that great team effort. It's great to hear more about, the opportunity at hand. It's obviously a very big market, as you pointed out, and put some good numbers around that. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Laura. And if anyone wants to pick up on anything, obviously just come through NWR and we can always or come directly to us, and we'll pick things up on separate sessions.
There's a couple of questions there. Can I get back to those people?
Yeah.
Separately?
Yeah, sure.
Is that all right?
No worries,
yeah.
Jeremy. Yep.
So John and Asim will definitely get the answers to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in the interest of time today, but Jeremy, we'll get back to you in due course.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.